Yes, so it went down last night at the Newport Richey City Council meeting, and from the time I got there, the tension was just high. I mean, normally it's very quiet, it's very peaceful. You come in, you take a seat, you wait for the meeting to start and whatever. And to be honest, this is the most people I've ever seen at a city council meeting in Newport Richey. There was no seats available because there's spacing for COVID, but every seat was taken and there was people all out in the hallway. They were loud, there were reporters. It was just a lot of tension. The police was there from the moment we got there, and normally they're not there. However, last meeting, police was called out and they ended up coming out. It's crazy.
Clapping and finger snapping are strictly prohibited. Persons recognized as doing so will be asked to leave immediately. Should you wish to speak at Vox Pop this evening, you will be asked to abide by the rules set forth above. You will also be expected to adhere to the Pledge of Civility located on the City Council chamber doors, of which you have received a copy upon entering the room this evening. That being said,
So you hear the mayor addressing some rules that they never did before, and we're gonna get into that. But let's jump into this first Vox Pops with
All
Nina.
those people like Jonathan Richards
Yes.
that showed up to our house and stuff.
yes ma'am, if you're not interested in doing that,
That's
please sit
really
down.
what you, okay, now I'm gonna just say this on the record. If anything happens to me or my family, you're responsible.
Chief,
My name is
let's-
My name is Christina Bonetta, 9154 Barrington Lane, Port Richey, Florida.
Mr. Mayor, I object. This is not following the calm discussion that we're asking for.
I will
Could you
be calm
please
for you.
tone
I'm
it
sorry, I'm
down?
being too black. I'm sorry.
No, you're not being too
Oh,
black.
I'm being too black. I'm sorry. I'm gonna calm down.
Jesus,
Let me
lamb,
know when I can go.
Go ahead.
lamb,
Thank
lamb.
you. So, Mayor Rob Marlowe, according to you, we owe you and the Newport Richey an apology, correct? Why? Why do we owe them an apology? For standing in solidarity with our brothers and sisters after George Floyd and Breonna Taylor was murdered? We stood in solidarity peacefully. Should we be sorry that we were targeted by the Newport Richey Police Department after that? Or should we apologize for being arrested on false made-up charges that could ruin our lives for peacefully protesting? And Mayor, there's no such thing as silent chanting. Being loud is not being violent. Your idea of peaceful is being quiet. That's impossible. Should we be sorry for holding the police accountable? Should we be sorry because a Newport Richey police officer was leaking our protest information to groups like the Proud Boys trying to harm us? Or should we be sorry that we were targeted unfairly compared to how the Trumpers and the Proud Boys were treated? Or should we be sorry for exposing corrupt police in the police department? Should we be sorry for wanting to be safe while officers pose on their Facebook with Confederate flags? Or the officer who sympathized with Kyle Rittenhouse, who killed a protester? What about Officer Bobby Lagrito, who kneeled on a young man's neck, the same position that killed George Floyd? Or Valente, who wrongfully broke a man's jaw? The list goes on. Or should we be sorry for questioning the police and wanting transparency? Should we apologize for wanting justice and equality? Or should we be sorry that since 2003, when Chief Bogart became chief, people of color have been arrested 3 times more than Caucasian people? Why? Do we do more drugs? Do we steal more? Are we more violent? What's the reason? Should we apologize for everything the police has done? Should we apologize that the chief and the city keeps hiring police that are fired from other police departments for abusing their power? The truth is, you guys are so blinded by your white privilege, you actually think we owe you respect and an apology. You're not willing to give respect, but we owe you an apology. Respect is earned. And since I have a little bit of more time, why in the world would we go talk to police, about what police are doing to us? It makes no sense. We don't trust them. Give us a reason to. Again, you want us to be sorry, you should be sorry to us. You should be sorry to how we've been treated, how the city tried to ruin our lives. Stop blaming us. We're not ratchet. We're not any of the things you've been saying, Mr. Mayor. I'm sorry that I can't speak in a nice little quiet white voice, but that's not me. That is not me, Mr. Mayor. So right now, all of you, the whole city council, quite frankly, sucks. Y'all suck.
Thank
Oh
you.
my God.
Next.
Mr. Mayor, that was not according to the rules.
Oh well.
No, it wasn't.
I would appreciate it if you would.
You know what else is important to the rules? People threatening our lives with guns.
Would you remove that lady from the building, please, officer?
Okay, so you just seen that. That was Nina. She spoke last night, Christina Bonetta, which is the leader of Black Lives Matter. And this is Rachel Higginbotham. She spoke as well. And I have the full Vox Pops video. I'll have that up later this week. And so you'll be able to check out all of the speakers that got up. But there was just a lot of things that went down last night that was different. And so what was different was temperature checks. And I don't know if it was because of the amount of people. I'm just trying to get an understanding of why that took place last night when it has not taken place previous nights. Also, this pledge. I'm going to put the pledge up that was given out. I don't know anything about this pledge. You know, apparently it is something that's a part of like the rules of coming to the council meetings, of how you're supposed to conduct yourself. And I'm doing air quotes. And so that was strange. And so what you heard the mayor saying, he was giving like a little speech about the conduct. And I started recording early because that does not happen. Normally, you know, you just come in, we say the Pledge of Allegiance, they do a moment of silence, and then they start, you know, the agenda, and then it gets to Vox Pops very quickly. But things were just done differently. And one thing I do want to point out is how they stressed, you know, for you to say your address. And I found that very strange because, yes, that's a part of it, but that's not always enforced. And this is a sign of systematic racism, because this is what happens. There are rules put in place, but they are not always enforced. They're enforced when they want things to be dictated or go in a certain direction. And that's what they don't want to acknowledge. It is a good example of that is them, okay, now all of a sudden let's enforce this rule of making them say their name and address. And you can see the mayor kind of buck up when Nina was like, I don't know if I want to say my address because these people are dangerous. They've threatened them. They've doxed them. They've harassed them coming by their house. You know, these are legitimate threats. And then they're showing up because they know this. And so it's intimidation. And it's just really crazy. It's really crazy how, you know, anybody can basically come there, get your address, know where you live, and say they don't like what you're saying. You know, they can do that, and I feel like they use that as an intimidation tactic. He wanted to make sure, well, if you don't do that, now we can enforce that rule and say you can't speak. We won't hear your claim. We won't hear anything that you're saying if you don't follow this rule, which they choose when they want to enforce it. And so because she's coming up there speaking out against them, now let's enforce this rule to intimidate her in the hopes that she doesn't continue on. And so she did it anyway. And I just found a lot of things very interesting, and I'm glad that if I had come to just this one meeting, I would have thought that this was the norm. But because, you know, I've been to a few of them, I know that there was a lot of things done.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did someone get offending about cussing?
And that's not right.
Oh, I bet you did, huh?
In that case,
Fuck you!
They're only allowed to curse when 40% of them are beating their wives.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Well, guess what? I want people to be just
Because,
as offended when an
I don't know, I was
unarmed
thinking,
black
like, I
man
don't
is
know,
shot
put
as
it
they are
on,
about cussing. Yeah, like straight up. Straight up.
We should just pass them out. I really want to know how the fuck is that not?
Things are really revving up in Newport Richey and in the Pasco County community. You know, a lot of people are starting to feel more comfortable about speaking out and really showing where they stand, what they believe in. And I feel like it's not as violent because a lot of the people that are actually within Black Lives Matter is Caucasian. And so, you know, I think a lot of times there would be more things happening, but because of that, you know, it's not gonna happen like that. So, it's gonna be really interesting to see if the city can come together, you know, and find a common ground, or if protests are gonna rev back up again and continue.